Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. In today's video, I will walk you through components of Power BI. Speaking about components of Power BI, first we need to understand that Power BI is combination of two important toolsets. One is Power BI Desktop and other one is Power BI Service. Power BI Desktop, it's a completely free tool. This can be downloaded offline and it can be used in your personal machine also without any license or even a login. Whereas Power BI Service, it's an online cloud-based tool and it needs some license associated with one of your work account login, and this can be accessed only through browser. So you need to know both these tool sets to learn more about the Power BI. And these two tool sets again has some underlying technologies like Power Query, DAX visualizations, and then workspace gateway dashboards. Apart from that, there are other important concepts as well. But overall, in order to learn Power BI, you need to learn more about Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service. Again, I would say it's 60% of Power BI Desktop and 40% of Power BI Service. Okay, let's start learning from Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop, it's where actual development happens. And let's learn about Power BI project lifecycle also. You need to understand that Power BI is nothing without data. So it needs data as basic input to start computing on, and this data can be retrieved from any of the input options. It gives hundreds of options or hundreds of connectors to get the data from. So some important patterns that you need to know are it can retrieve data from a file or a database or even web APIs. It can take the inputs from SharePoint list or SharePoint file also. And this data is then imported into Power BI Desktop, and initially this will be a blank report or a empty project. So once the data pours in, we can start building the logic on top of this, and then finally you will be getting a completed project. So this is how a project life cycle will be. And keep in mind, even until this point, this project is completely in your local machine and it is not exported or published in your Power BI service, which means it is not placed into your cloud service set, but this is just in the local desktop machine. Before we understand the layers of Power BI Desktop, I would just quickly like to show you how and where to download the Power BI Desktop. So this is the Microsoft URL for Power BI Desktop download. I'll be giving the link in the description. And here you have this download option. Once you click this download option, it could redirect you to your Microsoft App Store. Right now, I have the file imported or I have the Power BI Desktop already installed in my machine. So this would be redirecting you to Power BI Desktop application from the Microsoft Store. And here you, in case if you are not already installed, here you could see an option to install the Microsoft Power BI Desktop. And by clicking that button, it starts installing the Power BI Desktop in your machine. So in my case, it is already installed and I can just give open for this. So once I give open, it takes me to a page like this. So this is a startup page, and here I can click on a blank report. So this is where you will be starting up with. So right now this is completely a blank report or empty project without any data, because here if you click on data pane, you don't see any data or tables already imported into this workspace. First step, Power Query ETL. Building a Power BI report is very much like building a new house. So in order to build a new house, what you would be doing, you would be getting all the raw materials in, and you will be start segregating the raw materials and clean them up and keep them ready for further construction. So here the logic is going to be the same, but the operation is done by Power Query ETL. So Power Query, it performs the role of ETL, extract, transform and load, and this is responsible for importing the raw data from all the backend data sources into your could be from your file or data lake or anything, and then it transforms, cleans the data and keep it ready for further consumption. So I'll just show you with one simple example, and it starts from here, get data option. So once you launch this, and if you start importing any data through this get data option, it takes you to Power Query editor. In this case, for new users, just have a look. It has capability of importing data from hundreds of sources. It can be, if you take a database, it can import data from SQL, Access, Oracle, Amazon Redshift, Google, BigQuery, etc. It gives you plenty of options. It can even directly import data from Azure services also. And in case if people want to go for some other services, it still gives you option through others. Point is, it gives hundreds of options for users to import the data from. And for this demo, I'm just going to quickly show you data import from a file system. I'm just going to import a Excel file, and once you import, it takes me through this give transform data option, and once you give transform data option, it directs you to Power Query editor. So on top you should be able to see Power Query editor. Now what do you mean by cleaning up the data? Let me give you a simple example. If you could see my data, my year, so in some cases I have a number and in some cases I have a text. Now I just need to clean this up and I have to bring them into a single right format. So I'm just going to clean up this text information delimiter before. So now everything is converted into text, and now I'm just going to convert the data type into whole number. So now I got a proper year format for all the entries. Now it is ready to be imported. So this is, once I click close and apply, it takes me to the next step, which is data model. Let me close and apply, and meanwhile let's quickly see what the next step is. Next step is data model and logic building. So here I have closed and applied the Power BI file. I could see data getting loaded into my data model. So now you could see one table here got added in the data pane, and if you go to table view, you would be able to see the data whichever that we have imported, and this is data model view. Right now we just have only one table here, so you don't see any associations, but in case if you have multiple tables, you can easily relate them all. Okay, you can easily relate them all. Let's go back to this report view. Right, so now we are done with Power Query step, and now we are into data model. Now data is imported to Power BI data model. What do you mean by Power BI data model? It's just nothing like a simple local workspace. So Power BI doesn't do any computation directly on the information or the data available in the data source. For example, in case if your data is in SQL, Power BI doesn't work directly on your SQL, but instead it imports the data into your data model or the local workspace or the cache memory, which is dedicated for that, and it starts doing computation on top of that. Right, so and this should be very much structured. Your data model can be structured or designed in specific way that caters to your business KPIs. I'll give you an example here. Again, let's go to a construction example. So once you got your raw data ready, your next step would be to plan the house. So when it comes, so in the next step you would be planning where kitchen should be, where the bedroom should be, number of bedrooms, and which direction, or etc. Similar way, you get a layout at the final output. In this case also, you will be getting a proper data model, well structured data model with reasonable, with the right cardinality into your data model. Right, so here we have the data, and final layer is visualization layer. So it's more or less like your interior decoration. So after your construction, after constructing the complete house, you will be finally going for the interior decoration. But and this is very crucial because without interior decoration you can't live within a house, and this serves the final purpose of your data. So let's take this example, stacked chart, stacked column, and now I'm just going to quickly build a simple right, and then soundtrack albums, right. Here should be going to x-axis. Yeah, so that gives you a neat visualization that which gives you year-wise sales data. You could see a huge amount of sales bundled across 1995. Let me quickly summarize this. In our example, we had data in the Excel file. We got the Excel file imported through Power Query, and then we did some cleaning, and then we have loaded the data into data model, and after data model we just built one visualization on top of that. That's the visualization layer. I hope that summarizes the working model of Power BI desktop, which is very much straightforward like your building construction. Let's quickly move towards Power BI service. So Power BI service is the place where all your reports get published and shared with your enterprise users, right? It's very much like sharing your files through OneDrive. In normal case, what you would be doing is you may place a file in OneDrive and you would be sharing that with set of IDs across your organization. Similar to that, we are just going to publish the report that we have built to your workspace or Power BI service workspace, and you will be sharing that report with all the users. So where to start with? We already have a visual, we already have the project, and the next step that you have to start with is the publish. Now I have some constraints here. In order to publish this report, I need to have, okay, let me just save this demo, right? So I have saved this. Now in order to publish this visual, I need to have a work email address which contains Power BI service license as well. And this is where the catch is. I don't have a Power BI license because that could incur me some cost. Instead, just keep the flow in mind. I'll be showing you with the help of documentation. Let's say you have a Microsoft account which contains Power BI service license. Now, once you publish this information, this would be going into workspace. So workspace, it's like a dedicated workspace in cloud, okay, not in your machine but in cloud, to publish the reports from your local. And also it is that's the space that's used for computation or report generation again. So this is how your workspace would be looking like. It is a dedicated space for you given within Power BI service. Now, after entering the workspace, the next step is gateway connector. So you can configure your gateway. So when I say gateway connector, it's a hub or it's like a entry point which helps you to connect your report with all your backend data sources. For example, let's say in my case, I have used the Excel sheet to connect with the backend source. You can, okay, on day-to-day basis, you don't need to manually refresh this information. Let's say your Excel keeps updating on daily basis. You don't need to do this manually. Instead, what you can do is you can place this Excel in a SharePoint folder, and you can make your Power BI report in the workspace to connect with the SharePoint folder directly through your gateway connector. So this gateway connector helps you to connect with your backend sources, be it SQL or it can be a SharePoint folder or a list or whatever it is. It helps you to connect with your backend data, and it helps you to retrieve the information directly from the backend source. And finally, data set, report and dashboards. So these are some of the components that you see inside your workspace. So if you see in your workspace, this sample workspace, you could see data set, report and dashboard. So I will start with this. Data set is nothing but it's like your data model, whatever you have built in your local machine. So underlying data comprises the data set. Next step is the report. Report is nothing but the one that we have built in local also. And the final one is dashboard. So when I say dashboard, dashboard is nothing but a subset of report or subset of visuals from report. It's like a one pager. For example, you may have a complete documentation for your project, but you still go for a simple one pager explaining your project or explaining the key aspects of your project, right? Similar to that, a report can contain end-to-end or a bigger picture, whereas when it comes to dashboard, it's very much like a highlights, or think like it's a complete match, and dashboard is like a highlights. It can actually take visuals from multiple reports, and it can bring them all under one single page. So that's how your dashboard works. Now let me quickly go back to this. If you look at the life cycle part, so after Power BI report completion in the desktop, it is exported into your Microsoft service, Power BI service workspace, right? And requirements for the Power BI service. Key important requirements are the paid license. License has multiple tiers. You can definitely check in Microsoft website, but license is mandatory for Power BI service. There are some other options to get free trial also, but to my knowledge, Microsoft has reduced that scope of purchasing a free tier, especially within Indian region. So I couldn't get a free trial for this demo especially. And then you need to have a dedicated workspace in Power BI service to publish and manage your reports. Then you can use Azure AD groups for authentication and authorization purpose. For example, let's say you can create row level security to expose data only to intended users. For example, let's say you have a sales data and you have users from Spain and UK, and if you don't want to expose your Spain data to UK user and UK data to Spain user, you can achieve that very well through assigning them to the right AD groups and giving them permission through row level security. Finally, you need to have a gateway with proper credentials to connect to the backend data sources. So these are the bare minimal basic requirement in order to start with the Power BI service. I hope I have made sense. So that's it from my side. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and keep supporting us. I hope this would have been helpful. Please spread a positive word about us. Thank you so much.